So the first track is Sleep. I kind of wrote these lyrics as like an outsider looking in. And it was me kind of looking in on something that Nick had gone through. And it was something we actually talked about quite a bit. I remember we were on tour, and we were in Austin. I think we were just like doing a headliner, and we were sitting at this like little taco place, good tacos, and I remember just kind of asking Nick how things were going since everything he'd gone through, and we just got to talking, and he was telling me how he really wanted to have a song on the record that kind of like chronicled what he went through and the hope that he found through it all. And so we were just talking, and I remember asking him how he felt just kind of like during one of these periods, and he was talking about how he felt like he was just like in a dream, like it wasn't real life, or that he was asleep. And as soon as he said that, it kind of clicked with me, and I definitely thought that that'd be great imagery to describe really what was going on. And you know, he was just in a dark place, and was struggling because he kept seeing his sin. He kept seeing his failure, and that's all he could see was his failure. And so he just began to condemn himself and beat himself up, you know. And all that brought was more darkness. All that brought was more pain. All that brought was more failure. And so, you know, as he struggled through that time, what he realized that, you know, when through talking with him and kind of helping him through that, is he realized how dull he'd become to the gospel and what that meant for him, and how dull he'd become to the gospel call that calls him to come, regardless of what he looks like, regardless of what he's done, to come and receive mercy. And it's crazy that the very thing that we would call like 101 about knowing what Christianity is about, that God is willing to forgive all mankind of their sin if they would just but come to him and believe that he is willing to be good to them. That's the thing that we forget the most. And that's what Nick saw in his own situation. And you know, he would just condemn himself, you know, when he would see his sin, and you know, try and do something good to feel good, you know, to mask that pain. But it doesn't work like that, because still he probably felt as if God was not pleased with him, or unhappy with him, or mad, or that he didn't want him to come, you know, to be with him. And that's where we find the lyrics of the chorus, you know, where it says, "Come now, my darling, come now, my beloved, my love, it calls you." And it's amazing that though we can be steeped in the darkness of our sin, that is the call that God proclaims to his people and to any sinner, which is to come to him for mercy. And it just seems crazy, you know? It seems crazy that that would be the thing that God would say. You think he would be yelling out condemnations and saying, "Oh, you better fix your life." No, he's calling you to come to him for mercy. And it's just that thing that we would call so simple is the thing that we so often forget, you know. And so that song was really just kind of like almost a reminder for Nick. When I thought about writing the chorus, I thought, man, what could I write the chorus about that would remind Nick of what God would say to him if he ever felt this again. Because Nick's one of those guys that just, when he's performing, he's feeling what he's singing. And that was kind of just like my brotherly way of maybe trying to encourage him and help him. It was a lot of fun to do that together with him, and definitely a different approach to lyrics that we've probably taken before.